I think they could compete. I think you could put Barry Hinson on BBQ Pitmasters, and he would compete. I think he would. I think he'd be a contender for the $50,000 prize. And he joins us now. He's a senior analyst for Oklahoma State men's basketball, former head basketball coach at several schools, and has had some tremendous basketball teams. And is an Oklahoma State grad. He's got orange blood pumping through his veins, even after all these years at coaching different places. The orange still comes through, but he joins us this morning. Hey, Barry, how are you?
Robert, I'm doing great. I thought it was rather apropos that you had the opinions and things that are done on this show are not relative to the station right before you put me on. So I thought it was really good that you ran that little commercial right before you put me on.
We do that. We do that for everybody. And if you really want to know, in the beginning, Bill Coleman, the owner, said, if we're going to have Robert Allen doing a show, we better have that disclaimer ready to go. I've been known to put out a few opinions that made some of the people back in the home offices in Ponca cringe. But yeah, no, it's not. It's not. There is no personal intent aimed at you. It's for all of us.
I tell you what, after my rant, I got my hair cut in Tulsa not too long ago, and the guy cutting my hair, he said, "Aren't you that guy that had the top 10 sports rant?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm top 10." He said, "No, you're number 7." I said, "Okay." Ever since then, everybody's just they hold their breath when they get me on the radio shows. But we're talking about one of my favorite subjects today, so I think we could be pretty conservative.
Yeah, I kind of forget about that. I mean, you and yeah, and that's what in the interim, and this could be a class online. I mean, it would be online. You need to go down there to the West End Zone and grab Gundy and say, "Hey, look, we've got something in common here. We both have had top 10 sports rants. We could do an online class. The if you get Leach involved back in in Mississippi. By the way, he got a little trouble for Twitter the other day. Um, in fact, in fact, did you see what he did on Twitter?
No, I didn't.
Mike Leach put out a Twitter of a woman making a noose with rope and put it out as a mime that said, what I don't know if it was most wives or my wife or some wives are doing after 2 weeks of quarantine, making their man a scarf. and
Yeah.
it caught some major flack. In fact, three of his own players tweeted back at him. One put just WTF. So
Yeah.
Leach pulled it down and apologized. Didn't mean to offend anybody, but yeah, that's the thing. For a society, and I'm gonna leave it at this. Then we're going to barbecue. For a society that has all this social media and throws out all these mimes and all this, really, what do I want to say, sarcastic type stuff out there. There's still a lot of sensitivity out there.
Well, there is, Robert, and you just in this day and age, you got to be careful. And it's hard for old school guys like me because if people knew Mike Leach and knew where his heart was, and he's he said some stuff. I thought one of the things he said a couple of weeks ago was he said, "I'm sitting here watching TV and I turn around and I see this lady sitting right next to me. She seems kind of nice. Somebody told me she's my wife." I mean, every coach in the country just died laughing about that. And, and we know, I know Coach Leach. I don't know him well, but you know him better than I do. But certainly he didn't mean anything by that. But you're right. We have to be cognizant this day and age of what we say and what we do. And I'm a big hugger. I've always been a big hugger. I've always been a guy
Which
that
this is hard
compliments.
for you then. This is hard
It's
for
hard.
you.
It's really hard. And I've always been that guy, and I've always been the guy that, if I come up to a gentleman or a young lady or a lady and I just say, "Man, you really look pretty today," or "You really look nice," or "You look handsome today," and sure, and I just keep doing it. I mean, probably somebody thinks I'm crazy, but that's just the way I was raised, the way I was brought up. But you certainly have to be cognizant. And in with all the stuff that we've got going on right now, I've always said this, and I believe it. There's two things in life that can really ease your stress, and it's humor and it's food. And years ago, there was a movie out and called Soul Food, and the family basically healed at Big Mama's house, and that's where they had their healing. And we're getting ready to go into a segment. This is a good segue into what we're talking about, but this is at the expense of what's going on in our country. You always have to find positive things, and one of the things that's going on right now is that we are coming together as families, family units. Robert, I've never seen more people in my life walking their dogs, being with their kids. We had a neighborhood group that came by last night, all 6 feet apart, walking down the street. And, it was just interesting to see in our neighborhood out here how many people are outside working in the yard. And then one of the things that they're doing is you find the opportunity to cook and be around your family, and barbecue is at the top of the deal. And I've always said this, and I used to say this in recruiting, because I cooked for every recruit that came in on an official visit. My wife and I cooked for them. And the greatest way to the heart is through the stomach. And I'm a firm believer in that. I believe that all my life. When you're a son of a Baptist preacher and you go to other people's houses on Sundays after your dad preaches the sermon, you get to eat all those home-cooked meals, you know real quickly that that's kind of how the family atmosphere is. And to this day, food is an important deal. And there are people that tell you, I eat to live, and some people live to eat. I'm one of those guys, I live to eat, buddy. I'm telling you, I love it, and I love food, and I love cooking it, and barbecue is one of the things that I really enjoy doing.
Well, and yeah, here's the thing that's really messing with me. Although it's caused me to go, my wife was she was the dog walker, and she'd go walk the dog in the afternoon while I hit the gym in the morning on the way to work. And if, occasionally I'd go on the walk with her, but now the gym's closed, so we're going on long walks, and we're wearing the dog out. The dog's like, "Okay, gang, come on now. This gone past fun. It ain't fun no more." But a couple of things I was going to bring up off your comment there about being a hugger, and being around the family more than ever before. I heard this yesterday. Mike Boynton had said he can't ever remember being in one town as long as he has been now with this in Stillwater. Just staying at home, because this time of year, you guys are used to being, from your days as a head coach, you're on the road constantly. You're working toward the April signing period, and it's a mad dash. So I understand that. And then you brought up the hugger part of this. One of my, I mean, I love him like a brother, and I miss him dearly. One of the you're up there with one of the all-time great huggers, Bob Berry Jr. Absolutely. One of my wife the other day, we were talking some. Uh, I'm trying to think. We may have been talking to friends on a Skype or something like that, and she goes, "Oh yeah, Bob Berry Jr., biggest hugger, kisser I've ever." He would go up to anybody, give him a hug and a big kiss, and that was just Bobby. I mean, that's just may he rest in peace. That was his mo. So,
Well, you
uh,
think about it, and I've been hugged by Bob Berry and Bob Berry Jr. on many occasions, and but you think about it. You say, "May he rest in peace." How about his family right now? And we're sitting there talking about the impact of all the people and all the lives that he's touched throughout his career. And I hope that you and I, that when our time comes, or whenever that may be, that our legacy of people are remembering us just like we are Junior. And what a great compliment, and what a great opportunity to bring that up, Robert. I mean, what a great moment for all of us.
well, let's get into a little barbecue. And I mentioned I watched Pitmasters the other day, and every time I see that show, the first thing that comes in my, the first face that comes into my brain is Barry Hinson. And I'm thinking as I'm watching this, I bet I bet he could compete. Now, let's start with this. Talk about the, and I use this term, I don't want anybody to think the wrong way. This may be where the disclaimer comes in. Let's talk about the equipment. Barbecue equipment.
I've
What do
always
you?
said this, and I believe this. Everybody, you watch those pitmaster shows or this or that, and people get on there and they really are intimidating at times because if you're just some guy at home that you're thinking about, I'd really like to start barbecuing, but I don't have all the money to do this. Let me tell you something. Barbecuing is simple and it's great no matter what you start at. And I started on a Weber. I started on a Weber Smoky, and that's where I started. And then my influence here, being at Oklahoma State, my biggest first barbecue purchase was from Joe Davidson, the
Right.
original Oklahoma Joe. And then Roger took over and has Horizon Smokers there now, and they do as good, if not better, than anybody. I have a Horizon trailer that I bought from Roger and his crew, and it's 15 years old, and it still looks like it's brand new. That's the quality that they make. I have a Green Egg. I have a Weber Bullet. I have a Hasty Bag. Women buy shoes. I buy grills. I had a Traeger. So I've had everything. And I just tell people, people want to get into a war. What's better, Green Egg or Komodo Joe? Why do we have to get in a war about it? Why don't we just and even enjoy it? So, they're all good. You just have to figure out what to do and what you want to cook. And we bought a Hasty Bake roughly because it's made in Oklahoma. Richard Alexander and his crew there, they make an unbelievable product. Matter of fact, I went and picked up a Hasty Bake for Coach Sutton this week and brought it back from Tulsa. You just back up into the garage, they load it, you just wave at them and call when you leave and give them your credit card. You don't even go inside. But, I'm all about buy what you're comfortable with and then learn how to do it. And Robert, in this day and age, you can get on YouTube and figure out how to do anything. And if you ever want to be a barbecue guy, right now is the time. I mean, we have time, we have patience, and we may not have patience, but we certainly have time. And you could get your Bible and go out there and read the book of Job and learn how to have patience while you're barbecuing.
All right. What's we now know the smokers that you've got or had or the collection. What's your go to? Because I've learned my go to is brisket, beef brisket, and chuck roast. I can make a chuck roast behave like a beef brisket, and then when you're done after the first meal, then you put it in the refrigerator overnight, and now it becomes deli roast beef. And I love the effect that I can do with that. You still have the smoke ring, but it's still red. And when you slice it thin after that first day, and after a night in the refrigerator to make it cold, man, it's great to have that deli style roast beef. So what if somebody says, okay, we want the best you can bring, Coach Hinson, what are you bringing?
Well, it's always brisket. And you and I are both from Texas, and I was raised in Texas. I was raised on Texas barbecue. And I didn't move into Oklahoma until I was in the fourth grade. You live 10 years in Texas. That's enough you get a smoke ring by just living in Texas for 10 years on your body. But brisket is my go-to. No matter where I've been, everybody that always says, this is the best brisket I ever had. Now, I'm very fortunate. I have the world champion rub recipe that a guy gave me and promised me never to give away. And to this very day, I never had. I give the rub away, but I don't give the recipe away. So I've got a Memphis in May world champion rub recipe that I put on my brisket, and to this day, anytime anybody eats brisket, says it's some of the best brisket they've ever had. That's my go-to. And then people love the bologna. I do big old smoked chubs of bologna, and I wafer it. I don't chunk it. I like to wafer it. Because most people that don't like bologna, when you wafer it and shave it like that, they really like it. And I love to cook sausage, ribs. I'm not great at ribs. I'll be honest with you. I go back and forth on ribs. I try them different ways here and there. Now, believe me, they're not bad. One of my favorite lines of all time is the worst barbecue I ever had was sensational. So I'm a firm believer in that. But you know what? That's the great part about barbecue, Robert. You just get to try stuff all the time. And we just did over at Jeff and Robin McMillan's last week. I I gave them my Weber bullet and taught them how to do it, and we did bologna and sausage and a whole chicken, and we're just in there, and we did a slab of ribs, and we're all in there eating like it's the last meal that we've ever had. And we were 6 feet apart, so we were trying to meet all those specifications.
Well, and here's one I'll throw at you. And you just mentioned you cooked the chicken last week. Chicken was something when I had just a grill, just a charcoal. Actually have a grill that's half and half. You can charcoal on one half of it, and it has propane on the other half. But with grills, I never could get chicken well. I mean, it was always tough and it would dry out, and it just frustrated me because my wife and daughter love chicken. And I could never do a good job with it. When I got the Traeger, and this, of course, a shout out to the folks, at Kennan's, because they're the Traeger dealer that I deal with, and when I got a Traeger, and the first time I did chicken breasts, and when they came in and you cut it open and it was juicy and it was tender and it wasn't dried out, it actually was one of the greatest accomplishments for me from a cooking standpoint. Was, my gosh, I did chicken that was edible, because I didn't
Yeah,
think
it's
anything I'd
hard.
ever done before was edible. So that's a great accomplishment still in my book. And I can
Well,
still
let me give you an old trick here with chicken, because chicken breasts are hard, especially when you grill. And you're right, everybody who cooks chicken breast is always going to have a chicken breast that's going to be dry and basically burnt on one end and the other. So the key, and I learned this of all places, I learned this in the Mexican restaurants. So whatever chicken breast you buy, you take it and you put it between wax paper and you beat it out to where it's all level. You just pound it with a cleaver, and you
yeah
just beat it out like you would a round steak to where you make it level. Because now, when you're cooking that chicken breast, you're not going to cook it that long, but you're cooking it where it's level, because one end is most chicken breast, it's fat on one end and thin on the other. So when you beat it out, pound it out, and you got it level, that's good. But I'm going to give you the tip of the day. Here's the tip of the day, because everybody's grilling hamburgers right now. I'm just going to give you a simple tip for grilling hamburgers. It'll make it unbelievable for you. So the first thing you're going to do, first of all, we're not buying patties. Put your big boy pants on. Let's make
yeah
our own patties, and let's make them about the size of our hand, and you want to make them fairly plump. And when you make that patty, I want you to take a cup in your cabinet, a small cup, and I want you to put an indentation on one side of the hamburger patty. When you go to cook your hamburger, this is what I want you to do. I want you to cook it on the hottest flame possible for 2.5 minutes, and then I want you to flip it, and I want you to start with the indentation side down, so that when I flip it, now my hamburger patty is up with the indentation side, and I want you to go get your 3 ice cubes out of your automatic ice maker, and I want you to put those 3 ice cubes in that indentation. And then I want you to cook it again for another 3 minutes, and I want that water to go through there and steam that meat while it's cooking. It'll keep it moist. And then after that, you've gone 2.5, 3 minutes. So now we're about the 5-minute mark. I want you to move it over to the side, and now I want you to bake it for about another 3 minutes, and you'll have the juiciest, best hamburger you've ever had.
There you go. There you go. Advice from a master. Hey, I gotta ask one. I gotta ask one basketball question. It was great. Cade Cunningham, first team Sports Illustrated All American. That just came out this morning. But without this recruiting period, without being able to get on the road, without March Madness, the basketball part of Barry Hinson, have you climbed the walls at times? Or I know this. My wife has walked around saying, I really miss March Madness. Well, if my wife misses March Madness, I can only imagine, somebody who's lived their life immersed in it has had to deal with this.
Well, Robert, it's all relative. We all have, we're all, walking around right now. We're all cooped up. We're all trying to get out and do things. And it's all relative, whether it be sports or whatever activities they have. You can only think, Father Brian O'Brien at the Catholic Church, who sent me a text the other day. You can only imagine what the priests are doing, the pastors are doing, because they don't have the congregation coming in every Sunday. So it's all relative. But I will say this: it gives us an opportunity to reflect and kind of hit a reset button. But I think the most amazing thing is for me to watch a guy, and I'm talking about Mike Boynton. I'm talking about Coach Boynton, and you've already seen what's happened. We've had a commitment from an area that we really needed because with the loss of Thomas DeZago, we needed somebody to come in and be able to make shots. You've got the number one recruit in all of the country, and then you also have a team that, I'm not a great mathematician, but I think we won 8 of our last 11, finished with a record of 18-14 after starting 0-8 in the Big 12. I just feel really good right now about our basketball program, where it's headed. And as my next door neighbor said here the other night when he drove by, he said, "Boy, that Mike Boynton can really recruit." And I looked at him and I said, "And he's one of the best that I've ever seen doing it." So I've only worked for 2 head coaches, Robert. Only, at the college level, I only worked for 2, and one of them's in the Hall of Fame. And the guy that I just spent a year with, I could not have been any happier and more excited about what we've got coming next year. And I think Cowboys fans have a lot to be excited about, not only for men's basketball, but for football and our other sports and baseball with what Josh is doing. I'm really excited for Cowboy athletics.
All right, Barry Hinson, barbecue pitmaster and basketball analyst for Oklahoma State. And Barry, we appreciate it. Take care.
Robert, have a great day, and have a great day, Stillwater. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Barry Hinson, we appreciate it.